You are a friend to them, but they are not a friend to you. Well, I don't mind. Well, that's fine, but that has a shelf life, just so you know. If you have no healthy reciprocal friendships, you keep pouring out, you'll just be empty. Like you're not special. Like that's how that works. Welcome to the Family Captain Podcast. I'm your host, I'm your coach, John Michael Clark. On this show, we help Christian husbands grow in family leadership and sex and marriage. So if you believe that Jesus is king, and you want to lead your family with strength and love, and you want frequency and freedom in your sex life, then you're in the right place. We're going to help you build an incredible family culture where God is glorified and your family is blessed by your strong, loving leadership.
Welcome to the Family Captain Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Farrell. I'm here with John Michael Clark, the founder of the Family Captain. Guys, this show is designed to help you become the greatest man your wife and kids have ever known. JM, are you ready, bro?
I'm ready. Let's bless our brothers.
All right, dude, here's the deal. Most people do not realize how powerful brotherhood can be. There's like this pushback to like, I don't know, this is kind of like corny. Like, do I really need friends around the campfire and us talk about our problems and understand each other and stuff? So help me understand, as a guy who's had over 300 guys come through the Family Captain, experience an incredible brotherhood. Like, yeah, I mean, you're straight expert in this area. And so with that being said, why do dudes push back against this and choose isolation instead?
I think most guys, they see it as a luxury, and which is strangely enough a really new idea. Like throughout human history, men have always connected in brotherhood, and they didn't call it brotherhood. It was just life. Like we've even put this new thing around it. We're like, it's brotherhood because we're having to emphasize it, rightfully so. I think we're doing the right thing, and we're seeing organizations and missions that are all about like, dude, we need to build brotherhood. But guys who don't know better see that as a nice to have. Like, dude, I got pressures with my wife. I got pressures with my kids. I got pressures with work. Like, I got stuff that's demanding of me right now. And you're asking for like an extra, like, I don't need that. I don't need that. Everything over here is fine. And I think for a lot of guys, they just don't give it much thought. They don't get past, they don't recognize how glorious things could be. It's like we talk about with marriage. You know, a lot of guys, their only two gears are like, our marriage is fine, we're good, we're fine, or it's over and we're falling apart. Like those are his only two measurements. It's either okay or it's not okay. He doesn't have this spectrum of health and awesomeness that he can continue to ascend. He doesn't have the ladder that he can just keep going more, better, better, better. Most guys don't have that when it comes to brotherhood or friendship at all. They just go like, they think if I'm not thinking about harming myself, we'll just put it that way for the YouTubes. If I'm not thinking about hurting myself and ending it all, then I guess I'm okay and I don't need brotherhood. And so they have just this emergency use only kind of vision, just like guys do for marriage. Like I don't need to talk to anybody about marriage and leveling up unless like we were divorcing and we're not. So
Yeah.
I'm good, right? Like I'm not thinking about hurting myself, so I don't need friends, right? Instead of understanding like, bro, like, there's a lot of goodness to be had there. There's a lot of glory to be had and a lot of more maturity and a lot more strength.
Yeah. That's a low bar, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a low bar to be like, yeah, like, good thing I'm not here, right? Like you always talk about with the marriage counseling thing, like, well, the good thing is like she doesn't throw the dinner plate at me anymore. I mean, so it being such a low bar it's sad that we would look at it that way. So right out of the gate here in this episode, man, like I don't want guys to leave this episode because I know how powerful brotherhood can be, because I'm a guy that is more introverted and I like to isolate myself and be in my own thoughts. And I think to myself like, yeah, people aren't really like me. And so sell me brotherhood, bro. I mean, like freaking the Family Captain is amazing, but sell me brotherhood and why it's so powerful for a dude to at least explore and obviously keep listening to what we have to share today.
I think the biggest thing, I can speak best to the brotherhood that I've built.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a part of brotherhoods before the Family Captain. I built the thing that I wanted. I did that in every way. All I did was scratch my own itch for marriage and all the things. Like I started living it. Of course, I had lived it alone, unfortunately, for a while. But once I built the Family Captain, now I have friends and brotherhoods. Why'd you build a business? So I could get friends.
So I could have friends. I love it.
So I could be friends with people. But I mean, I've joined brotherhoods since then for that same reason. They're like, "What do you want to get out of this? What do you want to get out?" Like they've got this whole thing to try and get you on board. I was like, I just want friends. I just want to be around cool guys who love the Lord and are looking to grow. But that's what I've got inside the Family Captain. I mean, we've got brothers who have been with me for years now. You know, they came through the Family Captain Elite, the 2.0, and then they went into the 3.0 program. We also refer to that as the Voyage. But like we've been together for years and we're friends and we work in the business together like you and others. And
Yeah.
the
No, you're good.
biggest thing that I've seen that guys love when they come into the Family Captain is that they are being respected and honored.
Mhm.
Like men are under respected and men are under honored. Like no man says like I'm getting way too much honor in my life. It's like no one has ever said I'm over encouraged. You know, no man ever says, man, I just like it's enough. Like back off. Like no man has ever had to say that. No man in
Right.
modern times has had to say that to anyone. And inside the Family Captain, when men come into the brotherhood and they're being honored by other men, it's such a refreshment to them. It's a healing to their soul that they didn't even know was broken, or at least a switch is turned on that had always been turned off, and they're being spoken to. Now, that's not to say that we're not still teasing. There's the full dimension of masculine fellowship there.
Yeah.
There's the I can poke at you, you can poke at me, we can give each other a hard time and laugh about it. All in this, all with this foundation of like this brother is a stud, and I love him, and I honor him, and I respect him, and
Yeah.
I believe in him, and I'm cheering for him. So that's been like that's something I hadn't even talked much about publicly, but that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen refresh guys, man. Like they get a light on, they get an energy about them. Why? Because other men that they respect them, and they're going,
Yeah.
dude, like they stand taller, and that's probably a fuel I haven't even acknowledged and recognized. Is probably one of the big successes. One of the reason our guys have so much success to go take all the action that we require them to take. It's because they're built up and they're going like, okay, like I'm not being talked down to, I'm not being shamed, I'm not being condemned, I'm being built up. And I think that's a lot of concern that guys have when it comes to brotherhood because you do get exposed. I don't mean to say you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
exposed.
Yeah.
Like you do get called out with your excuses and all the things, and yet it's done in a way that's going, come on, man, come higher, we need you. Instead of, oh, you, how dare you? We're pulling you up saying, we got you.
Yeah. Why do you think dudes don't join Brotherhood? Do you think it's like they have so much reason not to trust people? They're hurt by the church. Like, what do you think it is that would like make someone push pause on what you just said, even though it sounded great to me?
Yeah. I think pride is the short answer. The long answer is pride has a million different ways to show up and be a chameleon. Be like, no, this isn't about pride for me. I don't need that. You're like, okay, right. There's the pride I was just pointing out. Yeah, I guess some men need that. Or, but I'm an introvert. Like, oh, okay, cool. Good for you. Good luck being an introvert and being successful and leveling up and growing and seeing your own blind spots. You know, there's just so much that everybody needs to grow and to thrive. The introvert, the extrovert, like that's an important understanding for yourself, by the way. I'll throw that out to everybody. Extrovert
Yeah.
being I am energized by the interactions with others. Introvert being I am energized by solitude. But both need to be able to do the opposite. The
Yeah.
the extrovert, you might not be mostly energized by alone time to be with your thoughts, but that's still important for you. And to the introvert, oh, I'm not a people person. Like you're using this as a crutch, as an excuse. And our culture does this a lot for introverts and makes a big joke
Right.
of it now. Like, oh, that's not my thing. Like, no, I realize your battery will be depleted during the time you're with those folks, but your battery will recharge again later, and you
Yeah.
still need to be in that environment. So it's the same reason guys don't like to start jujitsu. It's the same reason guys don't like to start a lot of things. Like they don't want to be low man on the totem pole. They don't want to have to come in and learn. Like that's been even guys who've come in the Family Captain. Like the guys who don't make good progress are the guys who came in with a chip on their shoulder. It's been
Yeah.
rare, but I've had a
Yeah.
few over the years who come in with like, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is good. And I'm like, well, yeah, so come in and take action, man. And they get in there and they want to be a teacher
Mhm.
and they want to share things. I'm going, hey, you taking action? You doing this? You doing that? You doing the other? Like, yeah. I mean, I think it's all fine. I think it's all good. I'm like, bummer, bro. I wanted
Yeah.
this guy to really get all the juice he could out of everything, but I think
Mhm.
pride is the biggest hindrance. And then after that, I'd say it's ignorance for a lot of guys. Like we said, they just don't know, and they're like, oh, I don't need respect. Like I'm not so insecure in my masculinity that I need respect. Like, if you were masculine, you would know how important respect actually is for you
Yeah.
and how it is your love language. I don't care what the 5 love languages say about you. Respect is every man's love language.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I would just tell a guy, look around and assess. Like, have you accomplished all that you wanted to? Is it enough? And then if he goes into some like fake godliness where he's like, I have learned to be content. I'm like, okay, hero. Well, like, judge the fruit. If the fruit around you is incredible, if your wife is thriving and your kids are thriving, then you got a good argument. But I more often see guys who are just eager to be content and not eager to be exposed.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think that, my experience, and I remember when I joined the family captain, and do you remember you probably don't remember our first call because you always say that your memory is not very good. But I remember on our
I'm sorry,
first
who are
call,
you?
right. I remember on our first call, you talked about the brotherhood piece, and I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I don't, yeah. And you were kind of talking about how that part was a big deal. And I just kind of diminished. I was like, yeah, whatever. But then I get in the program and I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, okay. I mean, I have 5 kids at the time and now I have 6, but I had 5 kids at the time and I'm just going to go through the program and do everything I'm told. But then when I actually start to like learn about and understand the guys in the program, I was so amazed because one of the dudes in there had 9 kids and his kids were disciplined and he was an entrepreneur. And I was like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? And I remember like messaging him outside. Hey man, like, can we talk? Like, how do you do this? Like, of course you have your issues, but you seem to be really crushing it here. And so I found so much value in like, talking to the guys who were a step ahead of me. And then I also found value in, I remember there was another dude who wanted to start a business. And I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, hey, let me offer my gifts. And so I found that to be extremely powerful in the family captains. I offered my gifts to the dudes who were behind me in various ways. And then I was able to glean from wisdom from dudes who were above me on top of just having the coaches who were able to navigate all the things going on
Yeah.
in both of our
It's
lives.
an unfair advantage, man,
Yeah,
to have that, to be able to look up the chain of command, or not even the chain of command, but just like, bro is better over here. And I can drop in, hey, can you help me with this? And he's like, oh, he's excited to.
yeah,
Like, we're having fun. And all these guys are connecting with each other and all kinds of things, like beyond what I and the other coaches are doing. Like, they're connecting with each other, encouraging one another. Hey, man, here's the thing I was telling you about the other day. And so their relationships are building to the point where, yeah, I mean, when we do our live events, which we do for our 3.0, our voyage guys, when we have those gatherings, like, we've got brothers all over the world, but we've got one brother who always travels from Australia to attend these events.
yeah.
So like, we do like a Thursday night, a Friday, and a Saturday. And we have figured out that Mark spends more time on his flights than he does actually at the event. And he's like, yeah, it's totally worth it. Like, I just want to come be with the
Awesome.
guys. And those events are not like conferences. Those are like 20 guys. I rent like some, luxury Airbnb, and it's fire pit and steaks and hanging out and quality time and bros laughing and stories. Like, dude travels from Australia for that. Why? Well, because, we love him and he loves us, and like, that's how important it's become to him. But if I would have never predicted that. I would have never told him. I could have never told him that on our first call and be like, hey, Mark, eventually this brotherhood's going to be so important to you. And I'd just be like, yeah, man, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
that's part of my problem as a salesman, Chris, is I don't sell enough. I'm just like, and people are like, I can't see it. I'm like, well, I
I
can't help
will.
you then. Like, I see it. I'm excited, like,
Yeah.
I think my zeal helps people because I'm so believable, because they can tell, like, this guy's like living it, and I
Yeah.
can tell he's genuine. But yeah, I could do better if I could go farther and explain them more. But some folks, man, like, they've just determined to stay in hiding. And
Yeah.
I know that's the case for a lot of guys. Like, I don't want to come out of hiding. I don't want to receive any critique. It's like it's really a feminine thing,
Mm.
like women do with each other as girlfriends. Like, there's not a lot of critique among female friends and criticism. Like, do I look fat? Oh my goodness, no, you're beautiful. I didn't ask if I was beautiful. I asked, do I look fat? um, Don't look fat. Don't look fat. No, 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 no. You're amazing. You're amazing. Anyone who doesn't see your value and your worth, queen, is just an idiot.
You already have.
I'm doing a little bit of caricature there.
Yeah.
But the shoe fits a lot of times. Whereas healthy masculine culture, Chris is like, dude, am I getting fat? And I'm like, Chris, I know 4 fat people and you're 3 of them. So it's the difference when your bro can like, hey, yeah, man. Hey, yeah, like, am I getting fat? Yeah, dude. I noticed you got a little tummy going on. Let's tighten up, killer. I need you. Need you strong. Your family needs you strong.
Yeah.
Body fat is not a servant to us. We become a slave to it. So, yeah, let's get back on track. Meet you in the gym Tuesday morning. Like that's what masculine culture does. But emasculated men don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that as an emasculated man, which is why I'm a part of Brotherhood that challenges me. The hardest thing I've done in recent years, the scariest thing I've done in recent years, and before I tell you what it is, guys, because you'll laugh at me once I tell you what it is, because you go, that's stupid. What I want you to do is think about something that would be scary and hard for you to do. Maybe it's climbing through a tiny, tiny cavern underground. That would be awful for me. I'm going to do it one day.
I'm with you.
I'm going to go on a private tour. Like, I don't want to be in there with 40 other people, but I'm going to go through some tight squeeze just because I don't want to. It's the last thing on earth I want to ever do.
Claustrophobia? Dude, me too.
Oh, yeah, Bo. Like, I'm fine if I have freedom, but like as a kid, if the bed was against the wall and I got under the bed and went all the way against the wall, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm fine. But like, if 3 kids came in after me and were packed in and we were hiding, like, that bed is going up in the air, like I'm coming out of there like a freak attack. So when I was in the fire academy, we had to do a confinement trailer. So you're blacked out entirely. Your mask, they put a mask around you, and you've got all turnout gear, which turnout gear can be a little claustrophobic. I'm not that bad. Some people are like, you can't put a mask on me. I'm not like that. But you go into these tight little tubes, and it's a maze, and you go in with a buddy. That was the hardest thing. Like, I've jumped out of an airplane, no big deal. I've done things that other people think are scary and intimidating, but for me, they weren't. So they didn't require courage for me. It's like, don't be impressed that I jumped out of an airplane because it wasn't scary for me. Be impressed that I went through that confinement trailer. Like, if 100% is where you're about to freak out, I was at like 97 the whole time. Like, I was like 3% away from embarrassing myself. But speaking of brotherhood, I went through with a Christian brother. Like, he was in the academy with me, and I told him, I was like, bro, here's where I'm at mentally, just so you know with this. I have to do this. There's not an option. You have to do it. I mean, I eventually got injured in the academy, so they relieved me anyway, but that was hard. All right, back to my other hard thing that I've had to do now. Now that everybody has something in mind that would be really hard for them and scary. Brotherhood, challenging you. One of our live events at the Family Captain a few years ago, the guys know that I hate cold water. So, of course, what do these men who love me do? They brought a cold plunge. And they also bought me these little American flag tighty whities for me to wear to do it. So it's like 60 guys. This was like a bigger event we did. It's like 60 guys, and I'm the only one who has to get in. But like, I didn't want to do it. And it was like, when they told me they brought the cold plunge, they told me I was going to have to get in. I was like, oh, that's crazy. That stinks. Dude, when the time came, fear, nervous system. I mean, I was upstairs in my room at this place I had rented, and I'm like sitting on the bed. I'm like, I can't go downstairs. There's no way in the world I'm getting in that cold water. It's not happening. It will not happen. And there's no way in the world I can't get in that cold water with all these guys here. I pull out my cell phone. I record a video for my dad, trying to pump myself up and be like, all right, Dad, here's what I'm doing, so I can show this to him. Like, I'm like a wreck, dude. I'm coming downstairs, and the guy's like, yeah, I got the American, like the Ranger panties, they call them. I got those on. They're like, yeah, everybody's cheering. Like, I should be laughing and carrying on. And I'm just like, they're like, dude, JM, you good? I'm like, no, I'm not. They're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm like, so I finally come to the edge of the cold plunge. What's the point of this story, John Michael? Well, it kind of ties in. The point is, brotherhood will challenge you, and most men don't want to be challenged. Yeah. So I come to this tank and I'm just standing there and standing there and standing there, and they like chant my name for a while and I still don't get in, and there's like it's awkward. It becomes awkward. Everybody loves me, I love them, but it's kind of like, get in the freaking water. Like, and I'm still just standing there and I'm like, I need to like make some sort of countdown to make this happen, but if they do it, it won't work. So I finally like give a speech about my dad, and I'm like, my dad is the whole reason the family captain exists, and blah, blah, and I do all this stuff, and I'm like, and I'm doing this for my dad, and I'm not gonna, so then I go in and ta-da, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
But I went to another Brotherhood event. They had a cold water thing, same kind of stuff. I was dreading it until we finally did it. But I would have never done these things if I hadn't been around other guys, which is why some men avoid Brotherhood. They're like, I'll be forced to do things. I'll be forced to go apologize to my wife, or I'll be forced to go level up with my kids, or I'll be forced to get into the cold water. I'll be forced to pray, or I'll be forced, whatever. I'll be forced to do the wholesome and good thing. And that's the very thing that most people are avoiding. And then certain guys step into that. I step into that. I'm like, oh, if I join that, oh, then that's going to make me accountable. I'm like, well, that's going to make me more faithful. That's going to make me better. By the way, after those 2 events with the cold plunge, I thought about it for a while and I was like, you cannot go through your life afraid of cold water. Because I was afraid both times. I did it, but I hadn't beaten it. You know the difference?
Sure.
Like, I did it, but I didn't beat it.
Right.
It still owned me. So eventually I bought a cold plunge.
Yep.
And it's down in the garage, and it's set to 55 degrees, and I do it daily.
Wow.
I get my 12 minutes a week, and it's great. Now I actually look forward to it.
Wow. It's good, man. That's
So,
good.
Brotherhood.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing about it is like, I think there's a fundamental difference between, hey guys, we're having like a fire on Saturday night, show up. The hardest thing you're doing is you're driving there and you're telling your wife like, hey, can you keep the kids while I go do this? But a brotherhood like the family captain is equivalent to like everyone's got to climb the mountain to be a part of the fire. You know what I mean? And so everybody's focused. Everybody wants leadership growth like you do. And so therefore, you're not in a group of guys where you're like wondering like, does that guy even care to be here? Is he just kind of here because his wife's like, honey, you should go? Is that the guy who's just listening to everyone and nodding his head and like adding very insightful things, but not planning on changing anything himself? Like those guys didn't exist in my cohort of dudes because I was like, everybody is feeling the burn like I am. Like this is a big deal. Our brain has zero evidence that we've ever failed being intentional with our family leadership in using a coach and a brotherhood. And so like we're all locked in.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a good point. I've got high expectation. You know, I've taken a new step. It's just such a powerful thing to just do a new thing.
Yeah.
Like, because although you got hesitations, you got concerns, if you can get over that initial resistance and actually put yourself in a position to win, then yeah, it's going to be hard. The same reason I said, like, you know, the least likely people to join martial arts are police officers. I don't have any data for that. That's just my.
Do you just hate cops because you're a firefighter? It's kind of like
I love cops. My dad's a cop.
Okay, all right, good.
So, and I was never a firefighter. I didn't finish the academy.
Oh, that's
so, but it's just from talking to jujitsu guys and like my jujitsu coach that I had at one point, or 2 different ones that I've had. One of them was a cop, and he owned a gym, and he was like, he was the one who said that. He was like, the hardest people to get in here is my coworkers.
Mhm.
And I knew why instantly, but I asked him, I was like, why is that? And he was like, they don't want to come in and be the nobody. Like they're used to being in charge. They're used to having authority. They're used to having power, and to come in and get, you know, choked out by somebody half their weight and to not understand what just happened. Like it's humbling. So, you know, it's easier to build in private and go like, oh, well, I'm fine. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. You're full of it. You're full of it. You're a burden to yourself if you're alone. You're a burden to your wife. You're a burden to your kids. Well, my wife says she doesn't want me to. Well, regardless of what she says, there's the truth about what she needs, and she needs you to level up and grow as a man. So yeah, we're not talking about just drinking beers with the boys. You know, we're talking about guys who will actually call you up, call you higher. You're the sum total of the 5 people you spent the most time around. So Yeah, we're talking about assessing that circle and making sure that it's taking you to the place that you want to go.
Amen. Amen, man. So this episode stems from a guy that sent a message on the Facebook group, and he said, "My desire and ambition are contrary for who I want around me in my circle. The people around excite my self-destructive tendencies and don't have much ambition in life. I believe there is more, and the happy ending could be happier."
Yeah. Dude, I want to be the little fish in the big pond. I joined a brotherhood a few years ago for that very reason. It was Christian businessmen, and it was like, I don't belong in this group. Like that was the first feeling I had when I was looking into it, when I was hearing about it, like where their businesses were and what they had accomplished in business and all this stuff. And I was like, this one sounds like I'm not ready for this one yet. And I was like, I want to get in this one. And I was just able to come in and be the sponge. And, it's just so easy too to just come in and take the low seat at the table. Like I didn't come in and pretend to be like, oh yeah, here I am with you guys now. I was like I was happy. I was happy to take the low spot, because that's where I belonged, frankly. And not that there was any ranking. I just mean, just in my own mind, I was able to deal with keep pride down, because like I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. I was just there to receive, and if I could offer something that was a blessing with other things, which I was able to, then that was great. But yeah, to be the, like what this brother's talking about. He's like, right now I'm kind of a big fish in a little pond.
Right.
I'm the man. I'm the one with the ambition. He's saying, but I don't like that. I want others who are going to challenge me. You need peers, you need mentors, and you need mentees.
Yeah.
You need all three things in a brotherhood for it to be healthy. And of course, it's not a perfect formula, but you've got to have, stretching in every direction.
Right. We were watching the Super Bowl the other day, and did you by chance catch the commercial with
With the
Just-
girl beating all the boys at football, it was so inspiring. It's amazing. The NFL hasn't gotten the memo yet that we're done with all those lies.
Right. Their ratings are going to tank like the NBA soon. No, Shane, the comedian that's on Rogan all the time, Shane something, I forget his name. Shane.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I remember that name as a
Okay.
comedian. I can't remember his
So
last name.
he's on a Bud Light commercial with, I don't know why both of their names are fleeing me right now. He's like a
The
huge
cooler.
rapper.
Yeah. They've got the cooler and the lawnmower.
Who is the rapper?
Post
What the heck?
Malone.
Post Malone. I don't know why
Yes.
those names were
I know,
fleeing me.
pop culture reference.
Good job, man.
I'm really rad.
So it's Post Malone and this Shane guy who's a comedian.
Gillis.
And Shane Gillis. Yes, thank you, bro. Look at that, man. Right.
And Mr. Culture.
You are the man. Okay. So they're both sitting in a lawn chair, and the whole point of the commercial is like, they're those fun guys in the neighborhood who are just going to like help everybody out and kind of just like drink a beer and be mindless. My wife turns to me. She's like, in our next neighborhood, like, do you want friends like that? And she was serious. And I was like, absolutely not. And she's like, why? She's like, they're so funny and fun and stuff. I was like, I might be wrong for this, but I do not want friends like that. I do not want the friends who like plan on for the next 30 years, pulling their lawn chair out in the driveway on a nice evening and just like waving to everyone who walks by, drinking beer, talking about nothing of depth, nothing eternal, nothing that matters, not moving their family forward, probably just like joking about watching, inappropriate things on their phone. Like I have zero desire, like zero. And it turned into like a serious conversation. She's like, dang. I was like, no. I was like, I do not desire that. Because like, what is life if you look over your friend when they die and you're just like, that guy just like drank a lot and he was funny and he could never be serious and we never had conversations of depth and like, he just was bad at life. Like he was funny, but he was just bad at life.
Yeah.
I know that's deep, but those are my thoughts.
Chris is an intense guy, in case you guys haven't noticed. So, lest everybody gets offended, Chris didn't say you're not allowed to sit in your yard.
I did not say that.
Because I think, first of all, they're like, I
Okay.
can't sit in the lawn chair and hang out with the family on a beautiful evening and wave to the neighbors. He was just using that to tie into
Every
like
night, bro.
all of
The guys who are like the every
Hang
night
on.
guys.
I think we're zoomed in a little too much here. So some
Okay, fine.
bros are chilling in the yard. It's
Okay.
cool. No
Yeah.
problem. But
Yeah.
they're not scrolling inappropriate stuff.
Okay.
And they're not just moron yokels
Yes.
Like, they're not just idiots. So,
Yes.
because there's probably some guys who have way more margin deliberately built into their lives.
Great.
And they're like, dude, I'm living the good life. I'm watching the sunset every night. And yeah, we wave to the neighbors and it's our ministry. So I'm just trying to save the fist fight for the listener who's going to find
Fine.
Chris and be like,
It's fine.
you're an idiot, man. But I totally agree as far as do we want to be that guy who's like, he was funny. He could drink a beer too now. I mean, bro, have you been to those funerals? I
Yeah.
have.
They're sad.
I mean, as a pastor, I've had to do funerals where like the family's like, oh, we really want to have the open time for everybody to talk. I'm like, oh no. If like we don't even know this person was born again. Like those are the worst.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if the person was born again, the family's not believers. Like, this is going to get messy and just obnoxiously stupid. And people are like, and they just say all this meaningless stuff about this person. Like, he could tell you every one of the NASCAR drivers. And you're like, oh boy. And like this poor family, they're just a mess. Yeah. So that's what Chris is talking about. And yeah, I can relate. But I think most guys, if you gave them the option, they wouldn't want that either. They're like, I don't want to be that guy for sure. But what is the consequence of being close to that guy? And that's what most people haven't measured, and that's what they haven't judged within themselves. Because then the immature guy, he goes, well, am I just supposed to condemn all these people and do away with them? No. Ministry opportunities are important, and relationship is important. But there's a difference between being the peer who's sucked into that and being the one who wants to speak into that. So are you always joining Doofus Dave in the driveway on his terms? Are you entering into his framework, or is he entering into yours? Have you invited his family over to play game night with your family, and they see where how your framework is? Or are you just driveway buddies where you're really never fully yourself? He doesn't get to see the wholesome way that you actually lead and shepherd your family. Or you haven't even invited him over to the Bible study. So his only context is what you've had. Those are the things that matter. And back to our brother's question,
Yeah.
Or, he was just sharing his thought, I guess, on, I look around, I see some things I'm not feeling. So make some moves. But it doesn't mean, dear Dave, you're dumb, and you're going to start seeing me separate from you. And it doesn't work like that. Right. Just find the new influence. Find the new person who you're going to start to connect to more. It could be an author that you just crush all their stuff. It could be a podcast. I've had to do that in seasons when I couldn't find that mentor in the flesh. But your local church is definitely the place to start. Look at men and look at their fruit. And if you cannot get close enough to this man to inspect his fruit, then you can't really know for sure who he is.
Yeah. I don't want to keep digging the hole I dug or anything, but I think my intensity comes from a place of knowing the fruits of investing in coaches and brotherhood and family leadership and all this stuff. And so, like, don't mistake my passion for like being a total a-hole. Like that's not what this is. It's just like right now I have a coach in business that I paid so much money, and I'm so locked in on the relationship and all the people around it who are where I want to be in various different ways. And so when you command that type of attention, you realize like, oh my gosh, like what was I almost a part of? And so that's where this is coming from. It's a guy who like,
it's a rebirth, man. When you have moments like that, when it's skin in the game.
It is.
Whether it's financial or some other way to get skin in the game, and you go, I'm electrified. Like there is a new buzz about me. There's an energy here, and I have a fierceness to me. And that's what I think was coming out of you is like I'm switched on. The Family Captain is all about helping Christian husbands to build an incredible marriage and family culture. It's self-leadership, it's family leadership, it's sex and marriage, all made practical so husbands, wives, and children can enjoy God's best and truly thrive. It's one thing to believe that Christians should have the best marriages and sex lives. It's another thing to know how to make it all happen. But inside our Family Captain Elite coaching program, that's exactly what you're going to learn. In the Family Captain Elite, men are not only equipped with the conviction to act, but also with the wisdom to navigate their exact situations. And they get a clear, practical path to get them the incredible fruit that they're after. So if you want to take your marriage and family culture from just fine to incredible, then go to thefamilycaptain.com and book a free assessment call to see if the Family Captain Elite program really is a good fit for you. That's thefamilycaptain.com. Family leadership is a high calling for your life. So what are you waiting for? And man, I was preaching this on Sunday. It's where Peter rebukes, he does. Peter rebukes Jesus and said, because Jesus said, I'm going to go to Jerusalem. I'm going to suffer many things. And Peter goes, no, he begins to rebuke the Lord. And then, of course, the Lord says to him, get behind me, Satan. You're a hindrance to me. You're thinking about things of man instead of the things of God. Why is Jesus so fierce there? He's fierce there for his own protection because he's being tempted. The Lord was tempted. Satan tempted him before. Hey, see all the kingdoms of the world. Bow down and worship me, and I'll give them to you. So why is Jesus fierce with Peter? To humiliate him? No, although I'm sure it was humiliating because Jesus turned to the 12 and to others who were there. You read Matthew and you read Mark, and it shows that there were others. And he goes, hey, he doubles down. Not only am I going to go to the cross, if you don't pick up your cross and follow me, like, whoa, he escalated it. It was one thing to say, I'm going to go die on the cross. And they're like, we did not see that coming, and we don't like that. And he goes, let me clarify something. Not only you're not worthy to be my disciple if you won't do it. But that's what I was teaching the church Sunday. Why is Jesus so fierce? He's fierce to protect himself. And there are times where we must be fierce for our own protection, not because we're so condemning of Peter or of the person who is tempting us or Doofus Dave in the driveway. And we have to be careful not to be condemning. Judging? Yeah, we always have to judge and assess and measure and weigh. That's what judgment is. But without hypocrisy, without a condemnation that says you're screwed and you're doomed forever and I reject you forever. But I think that's a healthy fierceness that makes us go, ugh, get away from me. You know, it's the fierceness that you have when you see temptation, a lustful temptation. What's a good way to respond to that? Like, not publicly, but internally, foul temptress. You know, other language, other things that you might use in your head. Bible language like whore and other things to help you, her feet go down to the grave, you know, like remind you of the truth and have a fierceness in your own heart to make sure that you're faithful. And that's a healthy strategy. That's a healthy tactic. That's helpful.
So you mentioned like we don't want to condemn Doofus Dave, and again, like I have my intensity and my passion. I'm not condemning Doofus Dave either. What I'm doing is I typically I'll have a conversation with a guy like at a barbecue or something. Like, hey, so what do you do? Oh, I do this. What do you do? Oh, I do that. Like, cool. Like, yeah, I hate it. So are you trying to leave? No. So why? And then I try to like get in this deep conversation with someone. Like, if you're unhappy, like what, I guess, I don't know, the solution would be like to change it. So I'm trying to like galvanize dudes, move them into action. And sometimes I become the deep guy that's like, well, I didn't want to go into all that. But I'm not condemning them. I'm trying to see, like, is there room for growth here?
You want to serve them.
Because people, yeah, man, you want to help them. You want to serve them. So, like, if you're in a place where you are just like, hey, like, I see the fruits of, like, taking risks and how amazing it can be, like, when God says jump, to jump and do it, you know? And so with that being said, I want to pivot our conversation this way. You got guys like me who are like, hey, like, I want to lift you up, you know? And you being lifted up also makes me feel like, wow, I need to reach another level too. I'm not condemning you, but I know there's guys who are like, okay, I need to figure out if I'm falling too far into Doofus Dave or if I am in healthy groups. So how would you tell guys to audit their current brotherhood so they can have an understanding of like, is this healthy? Is this good? Am I moving forward?
Well, that really is the question. Like you should actually audit the situation. And again, every non-Christian's favorite Bible verse, Matthew 7:1, judge not, lest ye be judged. Remember to read the whole thing there where Jesus literally teaches us how to appropriately judge, where he eventually also calls people, and says you need to learn how to handle your pearls and not give them to dogs and pigs, which implies that you have assessed whether or not someone is a dog and a pig because you judged. So his point is, of course, to judge without hypocrisy and to judge without condemnation. For the measure that you use to judge, it will be measured and used that way on you. So you keep all that in mind and make sure you're actually being loving to everyone, yourself included. But you should assess, you should judge, and you should weigh and measure things and go, all right, how's this serving me? So there's a couple of filters, there's a couple of questions we could ask to help us assess our relationships and whether or not they're actually helping us to level up. Are they actually helping us to grow? Are they strengthening me? The first question is, does this brother call me higher? Is there ever any challenge from this man? And for some guys, right away, you're going like, oh my goodness, the thought of this guy challenging me is like laughable. He would never do that. He's never serious about anything. So he's certainly not going to challenge me with anything at all. So that's an important question. Does this brother call me up? When I leave conversations with him, do I feel more focused? Do I feel more driven? Do I feel hungrier to go follow the Lord? Even if this guy's not direct in his call out of like, you need to this now, you need to that now. Being in his presence, do I feel, ooh, man, I got work to do. This brother loves the Lord so much. Man, I so respect the way he loves and cherishes his wife. Or man, like he's so deliberate with his kids. So those are ways that he could call me higher without having to verbally do it. That one makes sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Another question we could ask is just thinking about if I stay on this trajectory, if I stay on this path, 5 years from now, am I going to be proud of who I am? So I can assess my circle. I can assess my moment. What is my trajectory? Am I on an incline? Dude, if I keep it up, it keeps getting better. Am I on a slight decline? Ugh. If I keep this up 5 years, 10 years, that small adjustment later means many thousands of miles. Or am I on a plateau and I'm just staying the same? Just assess that. Where are you in 5 years, 10 years if you keep going like you're going? Your marriage, your work situation, your kids, are they on the right trajectory for strength, for discipline, for loving the Lord? And then this third assessment, it really goes both ways. You ask yourself, if I were to go to this brother and let him know that I had this goal and this target, if I were to go to Dave, we won't call him Doofus Dave anymore. We'll just call him Dave. We'll let him determine who he is, if he's a doofus or not, but by the way he responds to these 3 questions.
Yeah.
By our assessment so far. But I've gone to Dave and I'm like, hey man, I got this new goal. I've got this new target. I've got this thing I want to level up and grow in life and whatever. What is his response going to be? Is he going to support me? Is he going to resist me? Is he going to be, yeah, man, that's cool. Like, that's not support. I don't expect him to be that much of a turd that he's going to be like, you shouldn't love your wife and kids and the Lord more. I don't think he's going to be that guy. That's a hard and a weird person to find. I think most guys are going to be like, yeah, man, you ought to do it. Good for you, Bo. Throws down another beer and, keeps on scrolling. So that's not real support. Support is like, is he going to get in my corner? If I say, hey, I got to go get in this fight, is he going to be there to help me in between the rounds? Or is he just going to be like, good luck, let me know how it goes? And then the other way we can assess that is if I were to go to this brother and say, hey, man, I have a challenge for you, Dave. I want to encourage you in something, man. Is he receptive to it? Is he open to any of that at all? So you walk through those filters, you go through all 3 of those, and you start to think, all right, does this guy ever call me higher? And then if I keep going on this current trajectory, what's that going to look like? Or if I were to go to him and say, I want to level up, is he going to support it and push me on? Or if I were to challenge him and say, hey, I want to encourage you in this area, is he going to be receptive to anything? If not, dude, all you have is just a bowling buddy. I don't know what that guy is, but he's not a friend.
Human psychology.
There's no wounds there. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Friends wound one another. We don't stab each other in the back. We stab each other right in the stomach. Hey, that hurt. Yeah, man, level up. Okay. Dang it. Pull the knife. All right, I got you, bro. Let's go do this. That's masculine friendship. I love you, man. Come on. I want more from you. I need more from you too. Good. Let's go together. Versus the guy who's like, we're just drifting. Well, what are we just supposed to abandon Dave? Guys, if Dave won't listen, if he answered no to number 3 and we begin to challenge Dave, at some point you will have to judge and say, these are pearls. Is this the best use of my pearls?
Yeah.
Am I being wise with my resources? The harvest is ready. The laborers are few. So I believe that the harvest is ready. Dave might not be ready. I'm still going to pray for Dave. but I'm not going to pour all of my, let's not put seed on hard ground. Pretty simple stuff. Let's sow where it's going to be, where we know that there's going to be a promising harvest. So for all the holy guys who are like, oh, I'm going to minister to Dave. Well, good. But it sounds like you've got your framework to do that, and you're not being sucked into his. And that's the context of what Chris and I are talking about.
Yes, because powerful relationships are mutually beneficial. There's no way around it. And guys can be like, well, no, man, we're supposed to, but like,
that's great. That's
powerful
friendship is
relationships.
reciprocal.
Yeah.
It's reciprocal. Nobody's keeping score, but a healthy friendship has that give and take. It's just automatic. It just flows right.
Exactly.
That's what friendship is.
Exactly.
Or not me. I just give and give and give and give and give. You can do that fine. That's fine. But that's not friendship.
Yeah.
You are a friend to them, but they are not a friend to you. Well, I don't mind. Well, that's fine, but that has a shelf life, just so you know. If you have no healthy reciprocal friendships, you keep pouring out, you'll just be empty. Like you're not special. Like that's how that works.
Here's the thing, and I know I've come off intense in this episode, but like I believe this with everything in me. You get in life what you tolerate. If you continue to tolerate, you'll keep getting it. And so if you're I'm going to give this example.
It's all good, bro. Hey, I'm the gentle
intense,
guy. Chris is
listen,
the intense guy.
I'm the
We
intense
got the
guy.
perfect balance on this podcast.
Listen,
I'm a softie.
I used to sit and listen to people ramble their faces off because they wanted to listen to themselves talk. But when I realized, like you said, Pearls, that it was no longer mutually beneficial, I tried to be nice. I tried to be kind. I tried to be all the things. My wife laughs all the time because she can
Chris
see my
gave us
body
so
language.
many. That's crazies, and after
Bro.
the fourth, that's crazy.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Dude, that literally is the word though. That's crazy, man. Yeah. So what I start to do is I start to tilt my body like away from them, and I start to look over their shoulder, like because it's been like 9 minutes. Okay,
Yeah, dude.
And then I'll usually
not self-aware. They're rude.
they're not self-aware.
They're not coming up for air.
And exactly? And what tends to happen is I'm just like I'm sorry, but like no, like I will not do it anymore. And you get in life what you tolerate. I firmly believe that. And some people will be like, oh, Chris, that's so rude. No, it's rude to to never tell the person that they literally are just talking to hear themselves talk and they're not making any freaking sense. That's what's rude, is to not actually be like, hey, bro, like, I wonder if I could just be honest with you and let you know that I feel like when I have a conversation with you, like it is so unbelievably one-sided and you're not listening to anything I say. And so I just wanted to be honest because if no one's ever told you that, like you'll never grow from it. Like, is there anything you can see in me that from our interactions that bother you? Like, actually, I hate when you turn your body. Oh, right. But
funny you should mention that.
But dude, I've had conversations like that with dudes. And you know what happens? Either they level up or they level off. And that's okay.
But that's faithful friendship. You are a friend. Have I become your enemy because I was honest with you? So you could do that in a gentle way and say like, bro, would you shut up? But later you can come back and be like, hey man, I got to talk to you. This is awkward. And I have not been looking forward to this. What's up, man? Man, when we talk, you just, you go and you go and you go. You don't ask any questions. You don't all the thing. Like you make it plain. You don't condemn them. You just report your facts. And then, yeah, they're going to be like, ouch, I'm embarrassed. Okay. I love you. It's all right. And we can move on from this if they'll be mature about it, or they won't. But are you supposed to remain a hostage for the rest of your life, to the situation? So that's not wise. You're not being a good steward, a good manager with what you've been given, your time, most importantly. So, but that's brotherhood, man. People say stuff. Guys say strong and uncomfortable things to each other in brotherhood. And they did it a little bit too strong, actually. And he did that with a little bit, like it was imperfect. But praise the Lord that it came out instead of silence. And,
what's the intent? Like
the intent.
You have to ask that, man. Whenever someone's challenging you, like, hey, JM, you're kind of coming off like a jerk right now. Like, if I just say that with no context about anything, like, because I just want to make you feel like a jerk, then I'm a jerk. But if the intent is like, hey, bro, I know you're a leader and you don't want to come off that way, and for some reason you came off that way, that's different. Because my intent is like to lift you up.
That's friendship.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you're suffering for it, guys, because you have blind spots. I have blind spots.
I do too.
I was called out on a blind spot the other day from a brother in the voyage in the Brotherhood. And he was like, hey, man, I know you'll receive all this well. And then he went into like 3 different things. And I was like, and I replied to him, I was like, you're right, and you're right. And thank you. And
That
it's all
hurts.
good. I'm like, praise the Lord. I wish I had thought of that sooner. Just thought of that here at the end.
No,
But yeah,
that's
it's
okay.
real. Like
Yeah.
that happened this week.
As we conclude this thing, we've talked about brotherhood. We've talked about how powerful it is. I may have made some people mad. That's fine. Whatever. So sorry.
Driveway Dave is
But
furious.
okay, hang on. Genuinely, if someone felt like what I said was not constructive at all, I do genuinely apologize. It just comes from a place of like, oh man, I've seen the difference.
Bro, you were
But
so fine with what you said.
okay,
I
all
was
right.
just, I was thinking for the bad faith listener, actually. So the guy I already had in mind was bad faith because
Okay.
he got hung up. My character got hung up on the driveway issue. And I was like, there's probably wholesome folks out there who chill in the
Oh,
driveway. But Chris
if
hates some
if
driveways.
it's a nice day, pull your lawn chair out and chill in the driveway. I'm just saying,
Chris
if that's your
hates the
only
driveway.
routine, and like there are ways to captain your ship outside of the driveway, captain your ship. But
Get in
anyway,
the hot tub. Hot tub's better than driveway.
there you go. And it's better than a cold plunge. So,
True.
so here's where we're landing, bro. We've got guys who have been taking this audit through their head. Like, okay, are these guys calling me higher? Right? What else did you say? Are these guys calling me higher? Are they willing to be galvanized? And what else?
If I told them I wanted to level up, would they
Mhm.
support me?
There you go.
Would they resist me? If I called them to level up, would they have any kind of openness to that? That was the third one. The second one was, if I keep going like I'm going, where do I end up? The trajectory test.
Yes.
And then, the first one though is like, do they ever challenge me in any way with their example or with their words? Do they ever come in and go, dude, fix that? You go, oh, okay, cool, thank you. Or is it just we're just buds?
Okay, so X on all those. I've evaluated my brotherhood and been like, I hate that this is true, but X X X. What do I do?
You do anything to change it. And if you don't do anything to change it, you are that guy that you're assessing. So just know that. Like, I'll give you a 30-day deadline to start making legitimate movement. Like, to have fruitful movement, not to make movement. You should make movement on that in the next 48 hours. There's a text message, there's a phone call, there's something you should take action on the next 48 hours after having this revelation and this information. If you refuse to do that and 3 weeks goes by, a month goes by, and you still don't have any fruit, not the final outcome of everything's changed. Look at these 5 guys who now speak into my life. But if you have nothing then to show for it, then you can know, like, you are that man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fair statement, right? Like, I'm not attending to kick you in the balls. I just think it's obvious. Like, you're that guy if you won't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you don't have to be. You don't have to be. It's okay. You can change.
Right. Right. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm unashamed to say that obviously the brotherhood that was built through the family captain and through family leadership and investing in my journey in family leadership was absolutely game changing for me. And so I challenge guys to pursue that and or leave the one you're in and find another one and be the change and be the difference. But I know what works. And I know that the brotherhood of the family captain is incredibly powerful.
You need to start something, or you need to join something.
Yeah.
Period. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the guy
That
to
is
start it. Okay. Then go find one to join. Well, I don't know which one to join. Thankfully for you, there's the Family Captain Elite, brought to you by the Family Captain. And Chris and John Michael here today. Yeah, book a call. Just talk to our team. We got multiple guys you can talk to who will just do an assessment with you, and they'll encourage you and bless you, and they'll help you even determine if the elite program would be a good fit. If they think it is, then you can talk to Chris directly and hear all about the program and all the details and all that good stuff. I mean, the brotherhood, as powerful as it is, it's only one of our 3 dimensions that helps to make that incredible shift in a man's life. So, yeah, dude, this is where, again, I'm like, if you want it, you want it. If you don't, I can't want it for you. I do want it for you, but I can't make you do anything. So get hungry, get excited, get your hopes up, man.
Let's go.
I tell guys that all
Um,
the time. Get your hopes up.
read this.
People are so afraid to hope. I don't want to get my hopes up, dude. I do. I want to get my hopes up. Well, then I could be disappointed. I'd rather be the man who gets his hopes up and gets disappointed instead of the cynic who never expects anything.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cynicism is gross.
but hang on, let me pull that apart real fast. Get your hopes up about going to the gym because you decided to wake up at 5 a.m., but you did it last year, the year before that, and the year before that, and it didn't work. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have hope either. My brain has all the evidence in the world that I'm going to hit snooze and I'm actually going to burn out. But if I've never tried the thing before that's in front of me, my hopes are through the roof because my brain has zero evidence that I've ever failed at that.
Right. And in all fairness to your brain, like if it's got good evidence of failure, then we did something wrong. So yeah, what we're talking about is a new thing. So
Yeah,
if you're like,
a
I
new
tried
thing.
this, I tried that, then you did it wrong. If you tried a legitimately good thing like the gym, but you were quote unsuccessful, then there was just a piece missing. The gym's not broken. You're not broken. We just need to
So true.
find the angle for you, bro. What would make the shift for you? Oh, well, if I did it like this, or if I did it like done, we just solved it. It just takes a little bit more work than we thought to solve. The weights are still going to weigh the same when we get there, but
Yep.
we just have to it's self-leadership. We just need a little bit more self-leadership. So yeah, if you've done Brotherhood before, but it was quote unsuccessful, then Brotherhood's not broken. Brotherhood's still a great idea. You're not broken. It's still a great idea for you. You just need to find the thing that works for you.
And accountability is a huge piece of that. It's a
It's a
huge piece of
gift.
that when you're accountable to other people, because we, again, and the scriptures talk about this. If there is no authority above us, our life falls out of control. So the man who says, I'm God of my life, and there is no God, his life falls out of control. And when we don't have accountability or anything to keep us accountable to, we have too much freedom, way too much freedom. And
A
so
man with no authority over
that's
him.
why, like, okay, if you'd have gone back to like the 1400s and said that personal trainers would charge people double of what they make per hour to sit there, count reps, and tell them to go, stop. That's good. That's bad. You'd have been like, that's ridiculous.
Right?
But I made my money doing that. Okay,
Yeah.
for 13 years.
Yeah.
And I charged people a lot of money
Yeah.
to sit
there
there
and
and count. Now, look, I programmed and I read
of
into them and
course.
I was a part of their health team. But
You did
the
a lot.
premise behind it is I have an appointment to show up to. If the appointment's with myself, I'll let myself fail every time.
Yep.
And guess what? 40 and 50-year-olds got fit and lost tons of weight and all the things because they had an appointment with me.
Yeah.
And they
you
didn't want
gotta
to let
show
me
up.
down. And that was a shift for me. People would tell me, I don't want to let you down, Chris. And so when you build relationships with dudes who are counting on you to win, then you're not only letting you down, you feel like, oh, like, I got to do what I said I'm going to do. So anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is good. This
I
is
love it.
powerful. So I got a text from a guy who found us on YouTube, didn't know anything about the Family Captain, joined us, and he's like,
He came into the elite program.
He said, Chris, I really appreciate you checking in, man. Things are going great. My mindset and intentionality has shifted a ton on so many things. And my wife and I are connecting in ways we haven't in years, including an increase in the bedroom. I'm focusing on leveling myself up every morning and being accountable and trying to think of new ways to be present and in pursuit of my wife. The call last week was awesome, loving and feeling blessed about everything so far. I'm so pumped for what things will look like when I'm finished with this program.
That's awesome.
Like, bro, I get these texts like daily.
Yeah, I mean, that was tame, like, compared to a lot of the wins we
Oh,
get. I mean, they're just like, crazy stuff, man. Like, the stuff that
the
we don't
best.
even like, intend to work with. Guys, the stuff that's happened in the Family Captain over the years, guys like, I stopped drinking, I quit corn, since we can't say the other one. All kinds of stuff
Careful.
that, like, we don't even focus on, but stuff falls aside because these guys get on offense, they run a mighty mission, and
Yeah.
they just level up.
Okay. All right. So can I read one more?
Yeah, one more.
Okay, one more. So this guy, it's long, but he was basically like, bro, it's night and day compared to when we first talked a month ago. I mean, we are in the best place we've ever been. She follows, and like we run a business together, which is difficult, but I've been able to accomplish way more than I ever could accomplish before. My wife is finally like seeking her own leadership. I'm leading her into wanting more for herself. And the most important thing is that my relationship has improved tenfold with Christ.
This was I know who this is because they were also getting ready to go to marriage counseling, and now they're just like, never mind, right? Isn't that who
he's
that
like,
is?
the marriage counselor's out of the picture. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't even make sense. He's just like, literally, you guys are in my gratitude.
Again, not that I hate marriage counselors.
Right.
It's just that, wow,
Right.
all this got solved by our bro leveling up and taking action. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah,
so,
it's awesome. Brotherhood. Get somebody watching your six, guys.
That's right. Awesome. All right. We will wrap this one up. Guys, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And make sure that you comment below. Let us know what you think of these episodes. We always want to hear what you guys think. Also, please do make sure that if you feel compelled to book a call, check out the notes down in the description, and you'll find all the information there. And until next time.
Go captain your ship. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Family Captain Podcast. Now go take some action and serve by leading well. Also subscribe, leave a review so more men can find the podcast and be helped. And if you're ready to take your growth to the next level and you'd like more support, check out thefamilycaptain.com for our resources that will help you accelerate your journey. And until next time, go captain your ship.